What is homeopathy? This is one of many areas of pseudoscience that bothers me to no end. It's about time I addressed it on my channel. So let's get into it. When I was little, I actually had a homeopathic, doctor. My mom brought me to him anytime I was sick, and he would, quote-unquote, prescribe homeopathic medicine to me for various things. But I was lucky enough that he wasn't completely opposed to traditional medicine. Some homeopathic doctors are. My mom told me that when I was very young, like 1 or 2 years old, I was having trouble breathing, and she called the homeopathic doctor to see what to do. He told her to put the phone up to my mouth so he could hear what it sounded like, so she did, and he said, bring him to the hospital. I don't remember what was wrong with me at the time, maybe pneumonia or something, but it was serious. And thanks to that charlatan doing the right thing and telling my mother to take me to the hospital, I survived. But there are 6 million people in the US alone that rely on homeopathy for chronic or acute purposes, and 1 million of them are children. That is scary. That's extremely concerning. Let's talk about why that's concerning. Here's what homeopathy is: the treatment of disease by minute doses of natural substances that, in a healthy person, would produce symptoms of disease. I don't know that the literal definition is accurate to what it is colloquially, so let me tell you what my view of it is. It's the belief that natural substances, the kind that you'd find out in nature, like dandelions or lavender or tea tree oil, are more healthy and objectively better than tested medications. It's rooted in a general distrust of the pharmaceutical industry, among other things. So for a short time when I was in college, I was looking into chemistry. I was going for a chemistry major for a couple of semesters. We were learning about extractions, titrations, distillations, that kind of thing. So I asked my mom if there was something she wanted me to make, some kind of remedy or something, and she said she wanted me to try to make arnica. So I start to look at it, having just gotten through distilling moonshine as an experiment. I had the flasks and the burettes and everything. When I walked into this task, I was preparing for something on par with that. But no, when you distill moonshine, here's what's happening. You take water and sugar and mix it together. Then you put some yeast in there. Then you shake it up and let it sit there for a couple of weeks. Give it time to ferment. Let alcohol form in there. So once there's alcohol in it, you have to separate it out. But there are 2 different types of alcohol in it. There's methanol, which is poisonous to drink. You'll get a decreased level of consciousness, poor coordination, vomiting, abdominal pain, and a specific smell on your breath. If you drink enough of it, you'll go blind and your kidneys will fail. So it's really bad stuff. You need to get that out of there before it's drinkable. So water's boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius, obviously, or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Methanol's boiling point is 64.7 degrees Celsius, or 148.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And ethanol's boiling point is 78.3 degrees Celsius, or 173 Fahrenheit. Ethanol is the stuff you want. That's the alcohol we drink. So what you have to do is heat the fermented mixture up to 149 degrees to get the methanol to boil out. Of course, you don't want to get it anywhere near a flame, so I used a hot plate to heat up a pot of vegetable oil, and I placed a round bottom flask in the oil. Then I watched the temperature of the oil to make sure it didn't get too hot. I hooked the flask up to this tube that had cold water flowing all around it, so when the steam from the methanol came out of the flask, the water would cool it way down, and it would turn back into a liquid and drip into a jar. Once the methanol was boiled out, I moved on to a clean jar and boiled out the ethanol. I've only done this a couple of times, but the first time I did it, I didn't realize that a liquid could become what's called superheated. That's where the liquid you're trying to boil is in a container that's way too smooth. Doesn't have any ridges for bubbles to form. So it'll eventually get so hot that it just sprays out the top all of a sudden. Luckily, I was wearing the proper protective gear, and it was only like 150 degrees, which ultimately really isn't that hot for a liquid. So the next time I did it, I dropped some boiling chips in to make sure there were rough edges for bubbles to form. You can take the ethanol and boil it a second and a third time to make sure you get every last bit of the impurities out, like any lingering methanol, for example. And that's where you get the triple X's on the bottles of alcohol. The X's represent the number of times it was distilled. That's what triple distilled means. Anyways, that's actually a legitimately dangerous process for various reasons. It's really easy for it to catch fire or explode because you're dealing with alcohol. That shit is so flammable. Not to mention the fact that it could become superheated like it did with me. And what if you don't boil out all the methanol? If you drink it anyways, you could die. Seriously, it is so dangerous, and it should only be done by a professional. So do me a straight solid and don't try this at home. Really, don't do it. Okay, that was a serious sidetrack, but I felt like it was important to describe the scientific process I followed. Here's the process you follow to extract arnica. Arnica is a flower. So what you do is you take the flower and you crush it. That's it. You crush the flower. Crush it until you get an oily substance coming out. Then you take that oily substance and mix it with 1 part crushed flour to 9 parts water. Then you take that and you mix it with 9 more parts water. Then you do it a 3rd time. And if you guys know anything about exponentials, you'll know that at that point, there's basically nothing in it. It might as well be 100% water. The remaining amount is statistically insignificant. That's basically how all homeopathic remedies are made. You mix it with water until there's nothing left of the original substance. Even if the original substance was capable of doing any good at all, which, for reference, is usually a poisonous substance like belladonna or tea tree oil, it doesn't matter if it did any good by itself because there's absolutely nothing left of it by the time it's diluted to that level. And here's my real problem with the whole situation. People are marketing this stuff as cures for cancer, or cures for any number of other things. People stop taking real medicine that's gone through clinical trials and double blinds and has been heavily researched and proven to be effective to turn to this water, this snake oil, and they die as a result. If you stop getting cancer treatment to take homeopathic medicine instead, and you survive, it's purely a stroke of luck. The effectiveness of this homeopathic stuff is exactly the same as random chance. It's complete garbage and it ruins lives. So that's traditional homeopathy. They'll bottle that liquid and have people rub it on their wounds or skin conditions or any number of other things. Or sometimes they'll get a sugar pill and put a few drops of water on it and sell it for $50 in a health food store. But there's an overarching mindset that's very concerning to me. Take tea tree oil, for example. Tea tree oil is legitimately good for a couple of things. First, it has a very strong smell. Some bugs can't stand the smell of it. So it's actually used in shampoo to get rid of head lice. That's useful. So if you have acne, it'll dry out the oil, and sometimes that'll help get rid of the acne. Also, it's poisonous to ingest. If you swallow it, it will harm you. You do not want it anywhere near your mouth. Now that we know that, let's take a look at what some of these people are saying you can do with tea tree oil. So this article is written like the guy is an expert. He even puts his credentials at the bottom. He has a Master's of Fine Arts in Dance at UCLA. Wow, that is impressive. Master's in Fine Arts in Dance. Must have been hard. Not sure why he thinks he's qualified to speak on medical issues, though. In fact, he isn't. So let's see what he has to say about it. Tea tree oil has powerful antimicrobial properties, so before reaching for the over-the-counter products that might be contributing to the superbug phenomenon, experiment to see if natural products can work for you. No, there is so much wrong with that whole section. God, I cannot facepalm hard enough to make up for that. First, tea tree oil does have some antimicrobial properties. It can kill certain types of fungal infections in a topical capacity, i.e., you can rub it on your skin and it can help kill certain funguses. That's very different from killing bacterial infections on the inside of the body. And that's actually the thing that's causing the superbug problem. The bacteria are becoming immune to antibiotics, which means that when the next person catches it, they won't be able to use penicillin to cure it anymore. They have to go with a different antibiotic. Please do not ingest tea tree oil. It will kill you. Stop telling people not to get antibiotics, you fool. Okay, next claim. For mosquito bites, dab a single drop of tea tree oil on your finger and gently massage the affected area. I'm not really sure what makes him think this will do anything at all. Have there been trials to show that it improves mosquito bites? At least he isn't saying it cures Zika virus or something. If you have a mild sunburn, put 5 drops of tea tree oil into a gallon of tap water. Use a hand towel or sponge, softly pat the liquid over the area and allow it to evaporate off the skin. Oh, here's true homeopathy rearing its ugly head. Dilution and all that junk. If it's diluted enough, then it won't serve any purpose at all. But I'm really very curious to know what purpose it serves with sunburns anyways. Are you trying to dry out the skin on a sunburn? Is that the goal? Because that's what it'll do. I assumed you didn't want your sunburn to dry out. God, this dude is painful. Okay, next. Tea tree oil is also good for oral hygiene and sore throats. It won't taste pleasant at all, so fair warning. Put 5 drops of tea tree oil into 8 ounces of water. Swish the full glass, 1 mouthful at a time, to rinse teeth after brushing. No! Oh my God, please, no, do not do this. It is poisonous. If you have dandruff or an itchy scalp, rub several drops of tea tree oil into your palms and massage your scalp. What did I just say about it drying out skin? Do you really think drying out your scalp is going to help with dandruff? I seriously don't know what else to say about this. There's a startling lack of awareness in these claims. They just come up with problems and claim that it cures them. No research needed. No trials needed. No double-blind studies needed. Throw the scientific method right out the window. And 6 million people in the US buy this kind of garbage. Like I said, I lucked out because my homeopathic... I refuse to call him a doctor. He isn't. My homeopathic guy told my mom to take me to the hospital. A scary number of them don't believe in going to the hospital under any circumstances. We need to stop this kind of thing. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Follow me on Patreon and all social media. And check out my Discord. I talk to fans on there all the time. Thanks for watching, guys.